13th century mystic Sufi poet said, "There exists a voice that doesn't use words. Listen to it." All my life, I've wanted to give voice to the voiceless, which is ironic because I didn't speak until I was 6 years old. I was what was then called as extremely shy, which back then was code word for a very highly sensitive person, now known as HSPs. Any other HSPs in the house? Anyone else who is highly sensitive, feels too much, sees too much, hears too much, senses too much? But I came to realize, in fact, being highly sensitive, hearing too much, feeling too much, seeing too much, sensing too much, was in fact my superpower. And it didn't matter that I didn't speak, because my world came alive through stories. Through storytelling, through reading, through writing, I built worlds that became the world that I existed in. Now, many years later, I learned of this thing called autism spectrum disorder. And if being a highly sensitive person, an HSP, is a superpower, then being on the autism spectrum, ASD, is like a superpower on speed. Like, not only do you hear too much, see too much, smell too much, and taste too much and feel too much, but the whole world becomes like a kaleidoscope or like a Vegas light show. It is amplified in many, many ways. Ways that we, the people who are highly sensitive, may not sometimes understand. And so therefore we may judge certain behaviors as being a little bit odd, as being imperceptible to us, as being something that we didn't learn that language yet. It's, as Rumi said, there exists a language that does not use words. Listen to it. We haven't been given the tools in our world to listen to that language. When we were little and we would hear and see and imagine and feel too much, we would hear, "Oh, stop being so sensitive. Oh, you're imagining things. Stop telling stories." Well, guess what? Imagining things and telling stories was my superpower. And it was my outlet. It was the way that I spoke and communicated to the world. So, of course, ironically, or not so ironically, I began writing. It was my dream since I was little to become a writer. In fact, well, actually, it was my dream to become a stewardess. Actually, it was my dream to become a stewardess because I had a lisp. And then it was my dream to become a writer. So as I got older, I went to high school, and I had a guidance counselor interview, a guidance counselor meeting. And she said to me, "So, what would you like to be when you grow up?" And I said, "A writer." And she said, "Oh, darling, that's a nice thing to dream of, but you must actually live life a little bit. You have to experience some life so that you can write something that people will want to read. You can have some wisdom in your words. So let's try something more realistic. What would you like to be?" And I said, "Okay, then I want to be a stewardess." She said, "Oh, no, dear, that's not a career. First, you have to experience life. You have to go to school. You have to actually plan for your career. You have to know what it is that you're doing." And obviously, that guidance counselor knew nothing. Because I was a highly sensitive person, and I wanted to experience the world. I wanted to feel the world, taste the world, see the world, smell the world. I wanted to feel the world. I wanted to sense it. And so I became what was then known as a flight attendant, formerly known as a stewardess. And I lived and traveled, and then I began writing. Living in that imaginary world, the world of words, the world where words are creating these worlds. And so it came as a little bit of a pleasant surprise when one night, after a Chinese dinner buffet, on our drive home, my 9-year-old daughter said to me, "Mama, I want to write a book together." And I said, "Sure, we can do that." She said, "But Mama, no, wait. Not one of those that's tied with a ribbon. Not one of those that gets typed into the computer but nobody sees it. No, not those kind. I want a book with a book cover and an endorsement and a foreword and an acknowledgement and a book launch. I want a real book." And I said, "Okay, well, shall we make this book about?" And she said, "Well, let's make it about magic, but let's make it real, and let's have this and this." And we started talking about what this book would be. Actually, we came home, we sat down on the floor of her bedroom, and we had a tea party / meeting, which then became a teating. And in this teating, we talked about who the characters would be and what they would journey through and how they would overcome their difficulties and their challenges. And we made this world come alive. And we realized that part of this story can give the voice to the voiceless. That part of this story can actually show and give this angle of understanding what goes on in a person who is on the autism spectrum's mind, how they're hearing and feeling and seeing and sensing too much. You know, today, the statistics show that 1 in 59 children is on the autism spectrum. And that number is growing. That's over 1% of the world population. And it's not that they actually have any disability. It's just a different ability. It's an ability that we aren't capable of. So the disability is our incapability of understanding the worlds that are created out of highly, highly sensitive people. Sensitivity on speed. And so what we endeavored to do was write a book together. And it was our Camp Mama project over the summer. We sat down together and we worked on it every morning, and in the afternoons we would go swimming and biking and doing fun summer stuff, but we got that book done. It took us all of July, and we got that book done. It is giving voice to the voiceless through a child's eyes. We then went and launched the book online. Within 1 day, that book became a bestseller. Thank you. And we are endeavoring to continue that series of books, to continue to give voice to the voiceless. And as we've done that, and as we've shared this, we've had so many people come up to us, both adults and children, coming up and saying, "You know, I also felt voiceless. I also didn't reveal my sensitivities. I also didn't reveal where it is that I feel too much. And I'm here to tell you, where you feel too much is where your superpower is." Thank you.